Turn the guns. Battlecruiser Dispersion. Broadside Valparaiso. This is the dream. Yes, dude. What's up, bro? Welcome back to World of Warships. Today we're taking a look at the Archangel. I know that's probably not how you pronounce it. I apologize. I'm just going to go with that because it's easy for me. This is the other version of the Royal Sovereign, this time in the Soviet tech tree. This is also a premium tier 7 battleship. And what this one does is it removes everything that made the Royal Sovereign so good at brawling, in exchange for extremely accurate main guns. I found this ship to be incredibly consistent. We get 8 381mm guns here. We get battle cruiser dispersion. We get 1.9 Sigma. We actually get pretty solid shell velocity alongside 20 kilometers of range. This ship, no matter where it is going to be a problem if it's on the enemy team. You cannot show broadside to this thing. It's going to do insanely consistent damage. And I had a great time with it overall. It is very slow still, and it does have worse concealment. There are several changes that make this ship much worse at that mid and close range. Yet, these guns, man, it's all worth it for consistent dev strikes. That poor Omaha at the start. I do feel bad, okay? Tier 7 beating up on a poor tier 5, but I had some excellent games into tier 9 matchmaker even. So even though the armor is compromised, our speed is compromised relative to higher tiers, the range and this dispersion certainly make up for that and allow us to play into some of those higher tier games and still do extremely well. This is such a cool concept to me. Just not really interested in the historical element, just to be totally honest with you. I totally get it if you are, though. That's really cool to have some of these ships in the game, like Royal Sovereign. But for me, from a gameplay perspective, it's really interesting to play a ship that is so different, playstyle-wise, that is based on the same thing. I think this is really cool, and Wargaming missed an opportunity here to get us an event where the final reward was the same ship, I'm using air quotes here, the same ship, just with different characteristics, allowing you to pick if you want really consistent main guns or you want to go brawling with it. I think that would have been so cool to give us that as an event to grind for and to have two options for people at the end to choose which they like. As it stands, the monetization for both of these ships is kind of brutal. At least, though, there is a direct purchase option. You don't have to gamble for these in loot boxes. So this will be my one, or I'll likely bring it up later in the video too, just to let you know, it's 19,360 doubloons if you want to buy it outright, or 77 US dollars. That is extremely expensive for a tier 7. If you're listening, Wargaming, can we please get back to just regular ships for a regular cost, not doing these Admiral packs? I would really like that. But with that said, let's talk more about the downsides of this ship, because you're going to see the upside here on the main guns pretty much the entire way through this video. The downsides are going to be your speed is abysmally slow. I did not bring this up as much with Royal Sovereign because it had that built-in acceleration that made it feel surprisingly nimble. Here, though, we do not have that, so our acceleration is slow, standard battleship level. The rudder shift is the same though, 13.5 seconds and a 660 meter turning circle radius, allowing us to turn very quickly to avoid torpedoes, but only once, because we're going to lose a lot of speed in a turn, especially relative to Royal Sovereign. We can't dance around at close range or even mid-range to dodge shells, dodge torps. This one, you're going to get a quick turn initially, and then it's going to massively slow down on you. The concealment's a lot worse too. It's base conceal 14.8 versus 13.3 on Royal Sovereign. So a big difference there. We get down to 13.4 with concealment mod, which I would highly recommend you run on this ship. You want to be surprising people. You want to be somewhat well concealed to use brisk to hopefully get yourself against broadside ships. I mean, another almost 17k into a Nagato without even a Citadel. These guns are awesome. I was thinking about not running brisk actually, because 13.4 detect even with concealment mod is not great, or concealment upgrade on the commander. It still was worth it though. The speed is just so slow that I think this one really does need brisk. But it also really needs turret traverse. You need gun feeder on this one because your turrets are incredibly slow. 54.5 second turret traverse is terrible, okay? Coming from even the Royal Sovereign, where I was dealing with a 45 second, that one is getting buffed down to even 37 seconds, I believe. It's a big problem. I'm usually turning my ship to actually turn my guns on target a lot of the time, and you gotta be careful if you do that. Going broadside to battleships, this one does have a vulnerable Citadel. In fact, this one really reminds me of a tier 7 Warspite. Just to give you a comparison there. This one is pretty slow as well. It's got great turreting circle radius, but the guns have horrible turret traverse. It's not quite the same because battlecruiser dispersion is so much better than battleship dispersion. But Warspite also gets a little bit tankier in my opinion. I find that I'm able to heal through things a lot quicker and stay alive a lot easier. Archangel here gets nerfed armor even compared to Royal Sovereign, the other tier 7. So you're going to notice the armor not hold up nearly as well into battleship shells, as we have a 16mm bow and stern. Easily overmatchable by pretty much everything. You really are forced to stand your distance with this ship. Not sure why this Sharnor's 43 went... He's not even AFK, he's actually firing his guns. I'm not sure why he stopped there, but we'll take it. Some shooting practice here just to see how these guns line up. You'll notice the enemy team has so many DDs left. Makes it very, very awkward into the late game here. The repair percentage here is also 50%, which is standard. It's how much damage you can repair from a full pen, by the way. That is 10% worse, though, than Royal Sovereign. So we're missing a super heal. We just have standard heals here, and we have standard damage controls. We don't get any extra repair percent back, which for the most part is fine, but it does mean this speed is a much bigger problem compared to Royal Sovereign, where you notice I didn't really complain about the speed all that much, just because I had the tools to survive at close range, because we're really good at close range with those secondaries, the Hydro. But that heal, even if people try to chase you down, you can't get away. Sure, you're so slow, but you can just out-heal a lot of that incoming damage, especially at these mid-tiers like tier 7. The DPM doesn't really ramp like it does at tier 10 to really burst you down. This ship, though, can't do that, which I think is a good thing. There is some balance that needs to be had here. The other thing to consider here is that our Torpedo Protection is terrible. And we don't have that personal Hydro. It's the same as Royal Sovereign with 16% Torpedo Protection. For a battleship, that is very bad, especially a slow one like this. But you had the Hydro at least with the Royal Sovereign, allowing it to hopefully dodge a lot of those incoming torps. And because it kind of had built-in acceleration, much like Libertad did on its release, it's really hard to actually land torps on a Royal Sovereign, considering how maneuverable it is and how well it can actually accelerate. Archangel, though, no. You're eating so much damage anytime you eat a torpedo, which again points to we should probably be playing a little bit further back. That's a bit of an issue for me. As you know, I tend to push up a little bit too much, but even still managed to survive a little bit out here, as it's still a battleship, still got a lot of HP, and depending on the tier, your armor can still hold up quite well. The accuracy is just so nice, though, guaranteeing so many hits into these enemy ships, including DDs. Even a lot of overpens will still do a lot of damage into the destroyers. Unfortunately, not quite able to catch this cruiser. So many opportunities against him. Broadside, I was just misaiming a little too far ahead here and there. And then every once in a while, it does troll with dispersion. Not often, but it does every once in a while. I also want to mention with these AP shells, sometimes on these British battleships, or it's in the Soviet tree, but it's based on a British battleship, we'll see short fuse AP. And that is not what we have here. We have standard fuse AP on these 381mm guns. We actually get buffed pen. So you should notice that into higher tiers, cruisers, battle cruisers, even some battleships, you should still be able to Citadel them at reasonably long ranges. At 15 kilometers, we still have 423mm of pen on this ship. Royal Sovereign guns, by the way, have 375 at that same range. We also get 500 more HP on the AP, so that's nice. Our HE is much worse, though, so we're mostly shooting AP. Here, I may have found one of the worst throws I've ever seen. I don't know. These 3 DDs at the end were playing so well. They took out all of our DDs. All they had to do was run off the map, and they'd win. And they all decided to shoot at the Royal Sovereign on our team. And, well, that's a pretty dangerous ship to open up against, let's be honest. So well done to our Royal Sovereign for winning the game there. And, well, more likely that the DDs just opened up and gifted the win to us. I'll take it, though. It's nice to see the XP we get here and decent rewards, because it is still a premium. Tier 7, not the highest rewards out there, but it's still pretty solid for grinding credits, and especially since Tier 7 never sees Tier 10, so you're not getting that maximum high-tier campy gameplay. If you're not as interested in that these days, Tier 7 can be a pretty solid place to hang out. And if you got some premiums there, move some commanders over, then there's a lot of fun to be had here. And Archangel gives us a look at a very accurate battleship at these tiers. Yeah, you're slow, but with this range, we can still reach across the map here. I'm pretty far away at this point, and we're still able to catch some citadels on this cruiser. Dispersion, not perfect every single salvo. We can't expect that, obviously. But battle cruiser dispersion, more often than not here, is going to feel great. Especially if you're used to battleships at this tier. Tier 7 battleships can feel very, very wonky in terms of their dispersion. Because they get high caliber, but not as much accuracy at these tiers. NC goes broadside, and we get ourselves a Citadel. That looks like nearly half his HP, simply because he's, seems like a hull. Stock North Carolina there, unfortunately for him. Another salvo, he's turning broadside yet again, and battle cruiser dispersion looks all right. A little bit far dispersion. We still get a Citadel, though. Consistency. If you want a consistent battleship, this is a pretty interesting one. Unfortunately, that monetization. I gotta say it. I had fun with Royal Sovereign, especially in the brawls. I had a excellent. I mean, again, another Citadel? Is that 3 for 3 salvos? It's an NC that's going broadside, sure, but 3 for 3 getting Citadels here? I mean, I'll take it. Although it's his turn to Citadel is back, by the way. Look at our angle. He Citadels us in the stern there. We'll look at the armor at the end of the video, but it is not very good. You gotta be very careful. People can definitely be overmatching through you very easily. And your broadside armor, well, okay against smaller shells. Yep, that's another 17k from that NC at 20 kilometers. It's not a tanky ship. It's nowhere near what Royal Sovereign is. And Royal Sovereign was good at close range, but at longer ranges would still be eating some overmatch damage there too. It would just be able to heal through it so much quicker. At this point, it feels like I've compared this ship a lot to other premiums, I know. Let's take a look at maybe a tech tree ship. Let's look at Rook. That's a British tier 7 battleship, also with 381mm guns, although it has 9 of them. It's got a 31-second reload, where we have a 27-second reload here. And sure, it also gets battlecruiser dispersion, but 1.5 Sigma. We get 1.9 Sigma. No wonder it was feeling so consistent for me, especially relative to the St. Vincent line there, at least at tier 7. And oh, that salvo is just so... I had to include it at the beginning. That is just a beautiful salvo. Against the Valparaiso of all things, you love to see it, man. He goes broadside, he gets punished. At least with that ship, if they make a mistake, they should be eating an obscene amount of damage. And I'm glad to see we were able to do it there, even in the full up tier. Tier 7 against tier 9. That's how it should be. That's what I like to see, man, where you actually are rewarded for positioning well and punished for playing poorly in those situations, even against 2-tier lower ships. Even against that, you shouldn't just be an auto win in those cases. Maybe a paid actor moment, walking out broadside like that. But let's just gloss over that and enjoy the salvo that we did have. But it's interesting to compare to Rook or some of these other battle cruisers at tier 7, as we'll either see 6 guns, we all know how I feel about 6 guns, or the other ones with battle cruiser dispersion, they may have lower calibers, like 356s on Florida, for example. And certainly, if they still have 380s, they're likely gonna have a longer reload. 27 seconds on battle cruiser 380s is very, very good. The downsides, of course, are your concealment's only okay. It's still not bad, 13.4. It's just all right. And your speed, if you get into trouble, you're probably going to go down, okay? It really is just that slow and will not be outrunning anything. And actually, speaking of slow tier 7 battleships, Colorado. Someone was mentioning in chat while I was playing this that this is almost like what Colorado wishes it could be. Poor Colorado, man. That battleship dispersion. Americans can't buff their dispersion at tier 7. Sure, we don't have 406s, but the dispersion's so much better on this one than, say, a Colorado. Still getting those overpens there into that Eden. Shells went a little higher than I wanted. Every once in a while that happens. Shells go high, shells go a little short. It's just the way the aiming system is here. There's a aim assist built in, and it'll pull your shells in funny ways every once in a while. At least we don't eat all of his torpedoes, but you'll notice that that did nearly full damage. Although now that he's angled, oh, look at that dispersion. I aimed a little too far left, I suppose, but still getting the Citadel there. It's so consistent, and I'm used to these mid-tier battleships not being consistent. I think that's been their defining feature until you get to Tier 8 and certainly Tier 9 with the Americans. You just don't see accurate battleships here, especially ones with overmatch. And I think that's what makes this ship relatively unique. There are other examples, certainly. There are definitely other examples. Unfortunately, the monetization means that for most people, this is not going to be on their radar at all. Especially because it's so interesting. I just got to go back to it's so interesting having two ships that have the same model and slightly different characteristics in some ways, tweaked parameters, can play so differently. They really did feel like completely different ships. And I know obviously they should because they are different ships. But I really found it interesting that you can tweak the gun dispersion, change the modules up a bit, and or consumables up a little bit, and change the acceleration parameters. That is a big one as well. And the ships play completely differently. It's really cool to see. Unfortunate that we missed out on an event, perhaps, that would have enabled us to pick which one we preferred, the Brawler or the Sniper. Archangel, though, pretty solid sniper at Tier 7. And a decent counterpart to Royal Sovereign. Personally, though, I think I still prefer Royal Sovereign, although the consistency here felt really nice while playing. As for the armor and build here, it's pretty easy to just build for main guns and then just trying to survive. You'll notice I'm not actually taking the, it says 3 here, but you actually get 4 heals base. The port here is wrong, I believe. Here, we're actually not needing to take any more. Because I don't find myself getting to them. I'm playing too far back to really take that much damage early. And if I get in too close, there's no way I'm making it to that 5th heal. So, I'm not taking it. We want Conceal for sure, paired with Brisk. Already mentioned Grease the Gears. Feels mandatory. Even with that, it's 45.5 second turret traverse. Brutal stuff. Taking Fire Prevention to hopefully survive a little bit longer if we do get focused by some HE spam. Super heavy AP here, helping us out, getting us a little bit more alpha damage. Hit hard, and it's all about your main gun, so I am trying to buff it here. Maybe this is a little bit too greedy. And to try and get back to our consumables a little bit quicker, that heal, that damage control, I am taking this 2-pointer. You could move some things around to take another 4-pointer. Usually I am, by the way. Feels very strange to not take 3 4-point skills. That's almost my default. When building out a commander. Yet here, I found this one to be reasonable. Maybe I would change it if I played with it a little bit more, but for now, this is pretty good. Notice I am running a 21-point commander. I'm not sure why on this ship I'm able to run a more standard commander that I have. And on Royal Sovereign, I only had the test guy, with limited me to 14 points. But that is something to consider as well. Royal Sovereign, I was limited pretty badly on commander points that would go well into some healing, considering that heal is so good. And on this one, we had the extra points to build out a full commander. Here's your armor, and wow, is it bad. 16 here, you get 26 on the deck armor. That does get overmatched by 380s, by the way. And your upper belt's not bad, so closer ranges, you're going to shatter a lot of HE that way. AP will likely be bouncing. This ship, though, does still have that exposed Citadel. It is definitely above water. It's angled a bit, so you may think turtleback, but I don't think it's angled enough. And certainly the armor plating, it's fine. 330, 152, though. Yikes. And at the angle that North Carolina was able to hit us, if we look further back here, well, he can get through all of this very easily. And then as soon as we pull that away, then it's only 38 back here. So a 16 mil plate and then a 38 mil plate. I mean, some cruisers have better armor than that on their Citadel, at least in that section. You know, our belt armor is quite a lot better. But something to consider. It is not a full-fledged battleship for tankiness at all. Royal Sovereign will do you much better in a brawl simply because the healing and acceleration allowing you to dodge things so much easier. But this one's still very good. 8 380mm guns with battle cruiser dispersion and good Sigma, 1.9 Sigma versus Rook with its 1.5 Sigma. That's a massive difference in consistency, and I really did notice while playing that this ship, generally, the shells went where I aimed, and it was my own fault if I did not get those Citadels, for the most part. But that's going to do it for today's video. Let me know what you think in the comments down below. Thank you very much for watching, and have a great rest of your day.